Have you ever looked at a map of India? All those states, they seem pretty permanent, right? Set in stone. Well, what if I told you they're not? At all. In fact, the borders of India's states can be and have been completely redrawn. So how is that even possible? Let's dig into the constitutional blueprint that gives the Indian government this incredible power. And it all starts with just 10 simple words, right from the very first article of the Constitution. India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. Now, that might sound like just a formal label, but trust me, it's not. That single phrase, it's the bedrock, the absolute foundation for how the entire country is built and, crucially, how it can be changed. Okay, so what does a union of states actually mean in practice? Well, it sets up this core, unshakable idea. India, the nation itself, is indestructible. It's a permanent entity. But, and this is the big twist, the states within it are not. And this creates a really fascinating contrast, you know? If you look at a lot of other federal systems around the world, the states are often these permanent, almost co-equal partners with the central government. But India's model? Totally different. The country is designed as a single, indivisible whole. States can't just pack up and leave. And their very geography, we're talking their borders, their size, even their name, can be changed by the central government. So if the map can be redrawn, who gets to hold the pen? Who's the artist? Well, the Constitution is crystal clear on this. That power belongs to one body and one body only, the Parliament of India. Think of them as the official architects of the nation's internal map. And we're not talking about some vague, implied power here. Oh no, it's spelled out. From bringing in new territories to totally reorganizing the ones that are already there, the authority is put firmly and explicitly in the hands of the central legislature. No ambiguity at all. All right, so how does this actually work? What are the nuts and bolts? For that, we turn to Article 3 of the Constitution. This is where you find the specific tools. It's basically the detailed blueprint for exactly how Parliament can get in there and reshape the country. And let me tell you, this power is incredibly comprehensive. Parliament can literally form a brand new state. They can take an existing state and make it bigger or smaller. They can completely redraw the boundary lines. They can even just change a state's name. It's like a complete toolkit for geographical and political makeovers. Okay, this all leads to a really crucial question, doesn't it? If Parliament has all this power to just redraw the map, what about the states themselves? Do the people, the state governments, do they have any real say in their own destiny? So let's tackle that head on. Is this just a one-way street where the central government calls all the shots, or is there some kind of dialogue? The Constitution does have a process for consultation built in, but, and this is a huge but, as you're about to see, consultation does not mean consent. So before a bill to change a state's borders can even be introduced in Parliament, there are two key procedural hurdles it has to clear, and they involve the president and the state legislature that's actually being affected. Here's the breakdown. First, the president of India has to recommend the bill. That's a must-do, a non-negotiable step. Second, that exact same bill gets sent over to the legislature of the state in question. They're given a specific deadline to talk it over and give their opinion. I mean, that sounds like a proper check and balance, right? Well, here's the catch. And honestly, this might be the most critical detail in this whole process. The state legislature can say yes. They can say absolutely not. They can suggest a ton of changes. And Parliament can choose to completely ignore every single word. The state's opinion is asked for, but it is in no way binding. So what we have here is this immense power with, let's be honest, pretty limited checks. So how does something so huge, so monumental, actually become law? Well, this is where we find a kind of constitutional master key, a shortcut that makes the whole thing surprisingly simple. See, normally, if you want to change something really fundamental in the Constitution, you need what's called a special majority vote in Parliament, and that is a very high bar to clear. But to redraw the map of India, you only need a simple majority. That's the same kind of vote they use to pass any old, ordinary, everyday law. It's a huge difference. And you might be asking, how is that even possible? Simple. The Constitution itself says so. Article 4 is explicit. It says, any law that forms new states or changes their borders shall not be deemed to be an amendment of this Constitution. It's a built-in exception, a loophole, designed to make this whole process way faster and politically much, much easier. Okay, let's zoom out and pull this all together. We've journeyed from that foundational idea of a union of states all the way down to the nitty-gritty of the legislative process. So what's the big picture here? What's the main takeaway? All right, here are the 4 things you really need to remember. Number 1, the union is indestructible, but the states are, well, destructible. 2, Parliament holds all the cards. They have the final say. 3, states get to voice their opinion, but they don't get a veto. And number 4, these massive map-altering changes can be done with just a simple law, not a complicated constitutional amendment. When you boil it all down, this whole constitutional design is about one thing: flexibility. It gives the central government a really powerful tool to respond to all sorts of demands, whether they're linguistic, cultural, or just purely administrative. It lets them reshape the states to meet the country's needs as they change over time. And that leaves us with one final big question to chew on. This really unique balance of power creates a situation where the nation is forever, but its internal parts are constantly in flux. So what does it really mean for the identity of a state and for the balance of power in a democracy when the lines on the map are never truly drawn in permanent ink?